Bro, I hate it when they do this. Okay. So, basically, I was telling a story of me eating gelato and me drinking wine because this was one of the dates that I had. And I haven't told this story because the last time I tried to tell this story, it was after we went on the date and we didn't eat gelato and we didn't drink wine because it ended interestingly. So, it ended interestingly. So I was just like thinking, this was when I was like, oh, did he make up a story to get out of a date with me? But why would he make up a story? Why would he lie about something so extreme? We'll get to that. So, back it up. We're gonna back it up. Okay. Well, so what happened was that I deleted that video because he texted me after. I think he ended up texting me the next day or something, or he texted me after. And then was like, so sorry, I've been busy dealing with a lot of stuff. And then he's like, so sorry, I've been busy dealing with a lot of stuff. But can I have your Venmo so I can Venmo you the money? And he's like, oh, I'm glad that everything's worked out with you and your friend, like all that kind of stuff. And then he's like, yeah, everything's fine. You're a great girl, but I don't see the connection that way. So we're gonna backtrack. So while I'm eating my gelato, actually I'm going full from this. I should put this in the freezer so we can get frozen again. While my gelato freezes, I had this idea to do little mukbangs, and eat the food that I was supposed to eat when we were going on a date. Now, obviously, I did not eat gelato and drink wine, 'cause some things happened. But we'll get into that. So basically, what happened is that my ADHD brain is going to struggle to tell the story because it's kind of a long story. Technically, yes, could it be summed up into 5 sentences? Technically, it could be summed up into 5 sentences. I matched with this guy on Hinge. I feel like was the guy from the college. Oh, the college admissions guy from like Never Have I Ever when he summed up Davy's past year into like one sentence. And then so anyways, the sentences are: I matched with a guy on Hinge. I was trying to make it a competition between him and this other guy I was seeing to see who's going to take me out first. I had to go Uber to see this guy. I had to go Uber to see this guy. He then told me, and then I met up with him. I met him at his apartment complex. He then told me that his friend was about to get into a DUI situation, and so he had to cut the date. He had to cut the date short, and he was saying that this guy was his best friend, and that he needed to be there for him, and then he needed to cut the date short. He sends me in an Uber. He asked me to pay for my. He asked me to call an Uber, and then he said we can split that too, because we agreed to split the Uber from my apartment to San Francisco, and split the Uber from San Francisco to my apartment. I didn't hear from him for like 3 days, and he finally got back to me saying that everything was fine. No, that he was busy. And that there's no connection between us. The end. But I'm going to give you guys every single little detail. Yes, that could have been summed up. Yes, that's summed up in 10 sentences. But I'm going to give you guys every little detail. And I know he's not watching because he's probably busy. So we're going to continue with our story time from last night. I have my gelato because it's not melting anymore. It's back to the consistency of ice cream. So I have my wine. Because like I said, this was the date. This was the food that we were supposed to eat. So I think I like Chardonnay better than. But anyways, so I kind of give you guys the overview. The general overview, but I want to talk about the details. So basically, I was on Hinge at work. I matched with this guy. I had gone on 2 dates that week. One of them was more of a makeout in a car, but that's a different story for another day. And then the other date was the guy that I had already had 2 dates with, so 2 dates back. So one date with him on Sunday, and then another date the next day. And basically, I had made it a competition to myself. No one else knew about this competition. But, because I think I had been so down bad about the guy that I went on a date with at the beginning of the week. I've been so down bad about him because he was becoming less responsive. He wasn't answering my texts as much on Hinge. He was becoming less responsive. I gave him my phone number and he never texted my phone number. Being very less responsive. So I had asked him, did you want to hang out on Friday? Because I was getting depressed. Even though technically I wanted to hang out to forget about all my boy problems. Which he was one of them. But then I asked him to hang out. And then I matched with this guy on Hinge. I matched with this guy on Hinge. He was like, and one of his prompts was that he knew where the best gelato was in San Francisco. And I was like, I had never had gelato. Hence why we're eating this lovely can of gelato right now. I was like, I had never had gelato. And he goes, oh, I know a good spot. So, I pause it so that I don't get, like, the whole thing deletes and stuff. So, he's like, oh, I know a spot. So, I'm going back and forth, trying to figure out if I should go on this date or not. And then, it was, like, kind of like the last couple hours of work. I was going back and forth, trying to figure out if I should go on this date or not. Talking with my coworker. My coworker's like, that's not a good idea. Just be careful, because you have to have money to Uber. I should have listened to my coworker. I should have listened to him. Because it ended up I thought, I was like, oh yeah, I had a great time. Don't listen to me. I, in fact, did not actually have a great time. I told myself that, but I was like, yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah. I was like, going back and forth, trying to figure out if I should go on this date. I'm going back and forth with the guy, and the guy's like, oh, I had to cancel a reservation and stuff. I had to cancel the table that we had, and I was like, oh, table? And so, I'm sitting at home, and I just decided to go on the date. No, first, I asked him if he could pay for my Uber from San Francisco to my apartment after the date was over. Because he wanted me to take the bus, and I've only lived here for like a year and some months, so I'm not really comfortable with taking the bus. So first he wanted me to take the bus, and then I can meet him at he could meet me at Embarcadero, but I'm not really comfortable taking the bus because I remember taking the bus here before, so I really don't know the route. It's like, I don't want to miss my stop and stuff. So that's why I was like, we got talked back and forth about him paying for, I thought he said pick me up from Sausalito for my Uber, right? But no, he wanted me to pay for my own Uber. And then he'll pay for my Uber no, he wanted me to find my own way to get to Sausalito, and then pay for my Uber from Sausalito to San Francisco. And so I decided to take the Uber to Sausalito. Or he's like, I wish you would have told me that. Can you Uber to such and such stop? So I Ubered to that stop. Cost me $20 extra. Actually, first of all, let me backtrack. I did ask him to pay for my Uber from San Francisco to my apartment because, first of all, I don't make that much money. He makes way more, I make way more money than you, bitch. No, he makes way more money than me, so I don't make that much money. So I was trying to get him to pay for my Uber because I'm broke compared to him. I make pocket change compared to this man. So he's like, yeah, I don't know how much that is, but we could split it. So I agreed to split it because he'll be paying for my gelato, he'll be paying for my drinks. Technically, he didn't pay for my drinks because the drinks came with the apartment, so he doesn't have to pay every time. But that's later. So where are we at? Oh, we're at the part where he asked me to Uber from Sausalito, on an extra stop from Sausalito to San Francisco, where he lives. And so we'll make that another part. Everyone get your gelato and your wine ready, because this is story time. This is the worst date I've ever been on, part 3. So, we're at the part where I'm about to get into the Uber. I ordered the Uber comes and picks me up, and so he was like, oh, I wish you would have told me before you got into your Uber. Because I guess he didn't know that I was, he didn't know I was coming or not, so he was still in the gym. And he was like, can you add an extra stop? We can split this one too. So I was like, okay. So I added an extra stop. Paid an extra $20 to add an extra stop to the Uber. Then I get to this location that he wants me to Uber at. I'm not going to say the address because, you know, respect his privacy, even though I know he's not going to watch this. You probably forgot about me, which is fine. He's like, who is this bitch that she's speaking? But, anyways. So, I get to his... Anyways. Had to pause so that TikTok doesn't make me record the whole thing again. So, I get to this address, right? And I'm going inside, and I sit down, and it's really nice. And I go, and I wait. I'm waiting for him, and then he comes up to me, and then we go get a drink at the bar. Now, I get a Japanese Bloody Mary. Which, by the way, I get a Japanese Bloody Mary, and he gets a gin and tonic, which are in these, like, plastic to-go containers because this is a bar. I was like, oh, have you been here before? And he's like, yeah, I actually live here. So his bar, so the bar was also in his apartment complex, and his apartment complex has a rooftop. So I was like, this is the nicest building I've ever been to in my fucking life. My apartment complex does not look like this. Bougie, I know. But, anyways. So, you know what? I should do a series. You know what? Since basically I didn't have to pay for the drink, he paid for it, but technically he didn't have to pay for it because he just showed his card from his apartment, and that got him to pay for the drink, so he doesn't have to pay every time. That's what he said. So I should make that drink. Comment below if you want to see me make that drink. I don't know how to make it, but we can guess. And it's not like I'm... Okay. So, anyways, we go up to the roof. He's like, oh, you want to go up to my roof? It'll be better, like, talking-wise and stuff. So, we go up to the roof, and we go up to the roof, and we're talking, we're getting to know each other. I'm asking about, like, oh, because he's Indian, so I'm asking, and he says he's from India, so I was, like, asking, like, oh, how is it, like, growing up in India? He's asking me about my life, and all this stuff, and we're having, it's just started. It just started like 20 minutes ago. We're having a great time. And then all of a sudden, and then he's like, oh, it was kind of getting kind of cold. So then he was like, oh, you want to move like in the table? It's not that cold. So like we're talking and stuff, and then all of a sudden he gets a phone call, and he goes. And then he, like, kind of, like, walked away and stuff. And then he goes, I'm sorry, I have to cut this date short. And I go, oh, is everything okay? No. He goes, I'm sorry, I have to cut this date short. My friend's in a little bit of trouble. I was gonna, and then he tells me that his friend was, I guess, drinking, and then, pause this. Me. So, he tells me that his friend has been drinking. His friend, who was his, like, best friend growing up, and that he lives near him, and that his friend was, it was his best friend, and that he was drinking. And that he, I'm not, his friend was drinking, and he went to go play, like, some volleyball game, or some type of game, and then he was like, he already had some drinks, and then he let his friend drive, and then his friend drove, and crashed the car into a tree. The friend crashed the car into a tree, and so now, and then the cop showed up, and he's like, the friend is freaking out because this is not the guy. The friend is not the friend is the guy. No, the guy is friend. The guy that I'm on a date with is friends with that guy. So, he's like best friends with him. That's what he was telling me. So, okay. I'm gonna have to do a part 4 right now because it's getting intense. This is the part that is getting intense. Okay, back to my story time. We had to do a part 4 for this. Normally I would just wait until part 4 until tomorrow because my ice cream started melting. But we need to do a part 4 because this is where it goes. So, the guy tells me that, oh, he has to end the date short. Because his friend is in trouble, and and that's his best friend, and he grew up with him, and that what happened is that his friend had been drinking, and they were playing a volleyball game. He had been drinking, and then so he was like, so he didn't want to get in trouble he didn't want to get, drinking and driving, obviously. And so his friend, I guess he let his friend drive. So the guy that I'm on a date with, friend, let his other friend drive, the one who had not been drinking, and then I think it was a she, either a he or she, I don't remember. I think it was a she crashed the car into a tree. And the guy said that his friend said the cops were coming, and that it was going to be a whole DUI situation, and he was freaking out, and he's scared, and I was like, oh my god, cut the date short, go be with your friend. Arrested in jail is way more important than this date. Go be with your friend. And here's something about me. Here's something about me that I will believe you no matter what. Okay? Which is my problem because I'm too trusting. So I will tend to believe you no matter what. Like, if you tell me something, I'm going to believe you. Because what am I gonna accuse you of? Lying? Like, that's fucked up. So I'm like, oh my god, arrest and like jail is way more important than this date. And he goes, no, it's not. But he goes, yeah, I'm really sorry, I gotta cut this date short. And I go, oh, I totally understand, like, that's way more important. And he goes, yeah, that's my best friend, and if his parents find out, he's really gonna be freaking the fuck out, like, they're really gonna freak out, like, it's so, like, he's really scared, and so I'm just gonna go join up with him with a bunch of his friends to go be with him. To go try and see him, to go try and figure this out. And I go, yeah, that's totally fine. I totally understand. And then he goes, can you call the Uber? He goes, can you call the Uber? Because I really have to go. And then he goes, I really have to go. So I call the Uber and he's like, so send me the screenshots and I can pay half of those for you. And so I go, okay. And then so he gets up and he answers the phone again. And my Uber was there. My Uber was there, and he was like, I'm so sorry to have to cut this date short. So sorry. When maybe next time I'll be gone. I'll be gone from town for the next 2 weeks, for the next week, so maybe next time I can go to your side of the part of, I go to your part of town. It's like, okay, yeah. And so I get home and I screenshot my Uber to this man and I say, I hope everything is okay. I just want to tell you the screenshot. I had a nice time. I had a lovely time. I hope everything is going to go good with your friend. And I hope everything's okay with your friend. Here are the screenshots of my Uber. Didn't hear from him for 3 days. And you know how I like to reflect on my dates? I was reflecting, and I was thinking to myself, hold on, let me go put this back in the freezer. I was reflecting, alright. I was reflecting. I was thinking to myself, so I hadn't heard from this man in I texted him at 7 p.m. on Friday night whenever I got back to from the date. And I was just seeing oh yeah, I just wanted to let you know I'm home safe. Here's a screenshot of the Ubers. I hope everything is okay with you and your friend, blah, blah, blah. And then Saturday night, I was just, checking in again, being I just want to check it. I just want to check in, make sure, everything is okay, with you and your friend. And that everything is well with your friend, because that's serious. And then I think I may or may not have, I don't know what happened, but I think I tried to upload a story time about this situation, and then all of a sudden, I think I get a text. It was either Sunday or Monday, and then he was like, oh, hey, can I get your Venmo? And that's when he told me that the connection I was nice, but the connection, he didn't really see the connection working out. You could have told me that 3 days ago. And he said he was busy and stuff. And I was I was just I hope everything is well with you and your friend and stuff. And then he's yeah. He's haha, yeah, everything's fine. So, and at this whole time when I was reflecting on this date, right? I was like, did he make that up? Because that would be crazy. Like, that would be an extreme way to get out of a date. Like, the date had just started. Like, and everyone was telling me that was, like, my dad and my mom was like, that's pre-planned. That he pre-planned that. Like, but, like, DUI? DUI. Like, you understand how crazy, like the fact that, like, any lie, I would probably know. But, like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, hey, like, I'm not gonna question you and be like, oh, do you make that up because that's fucked up? Like, what happens if you were telling the truth? Then I look like an asshole for fucking accusing you of making up a DUI story about your friend to go get out of a date with me. A date that had just started, by the way. Like, what? The final part of my story time. The worst date I've ever been on. Closing thoughts. So, closing thoughts. It just made me really think, like, it made me really think, I don't understand, like, I don't understand why he felt the need to make up a DUI story. And especially because that's a serious crime. Like, that's a serious crime. Like, that's a crime. And the fact that you made up, you and your, like, him and his friend had a planned out story of his friend possibly getting a DUI just to get out of a date with me that just barely started. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you make that up? And also, I work in law enforcement. I process arrest reports. I deal with DUIs. Like that's so extreme and so, like, that's so extreme. And my coworker used the phrase, he said, I use the term oddly specific. Because when it has details, like that, but he's not really, he's giving a specific story, but there's not, like, it's like using too specific details. Because it's like, why would you just... So I really sat here thinking, did he just make that up? Well, why would he make that up? And so I never asked him. But, yeah, I haven't talked to that man since he Venmo'd me $40. So, and I'm sitting here eating gelato, and I have a new man. This time we're in an exclusive relationship. So take that, DUI guy. And that's what I call him to all my friends. Not my man, but that's what I call him. I call him DUI guy. Because well, it's pretty self-explanatory. He made up a story. To be honest, I don't know if it's made up or not, but It's definitely made up. It feels me. After analyzing the situation, it feels made up. Because I was like, because here's the thing about me. I will believe you no matter what. I'll be like, this is what I want to touch on in the video. I'll be like, it's okay. Your friend's about to get arrested. It's okay. I totally understand. I understand why you have to cut the date short. I understand. Go be with your friend. I'm very kind of trusting of people, and I need to not be so trusting of people, because then it gets me in situations like this. But it makes for a good story. It makes for an excellent story. But I need to not be so trusting all the time. But not trusting and understanding are my best qualities, but also my worst qualities, because if I'm understanding, I'm going to defend you until the depths of hell. He's like, yeah, I love how understanding you are. And I've told this story to other people, and they're like, yeah, you're understanding, as he's lying to you. As he's saying a lie to your face. Yeah, but I've had that happen before. Someone told me that I canceled because of a family emergency. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's okay. And then I was saying that he can't go on a date because of a family emergency. Like, he's not going to be in the right headspace to date. And everyone's like, Sydney, he's not interested. That's just an excuse. That sounds like bullshit. But you tell me something, I'm going to believe. You tell me you can't do this or you can't do that, I'm going to believe you. That's just who I am. That's why I say trusting and understanding are two worst qualities. No. My two best qualities and my two worst qualities. But that wraps up the story time. All 5 parts. I haven't seen or talked to DUI guy about 3 months. Hope he's doing well. This caramel is so good. Alright, bye guys. Hope he's doing well. Being a data scientist. Also, it's not just a crime. You could go to jail. You go to jail if you go DUI. So if you get a DUI. So, and I deal with processing arrest reports, and getting a DUI is a misdemeanor. And guess what? We keep that report for 3 years. So why would you decide for that to be your excuse to get out of a date with me? Why? That's weird. You thought of a crime to get out of a date? You freak.